Well, hello there, and welcome to my little arty corner of the internet. It's Saturday the 13th of November. It's actually quite nice out, a bit on the chilly side. Getting some sunshine, but there's cloud. So hopefully by the time I've done this, got this uploaded and showered and sorted, I'll still have time enough to go out for a walk while it's dry. Fingers crossed it's going to stay dry. Anyway, to arty things, I have to say I have a bit of a thing for borders. I love botanicals, don't get me wrong, but there's something just, I don't know, alluring, magical, fascinating about geometric patterns and borders that are that look complex, but really once you understand how they work, aren't that complicated to create. As long as you're prepared to use pencil lines, I think. Pencil lines are often the key to getting these done. You can do them without, but I like to make sure that I've got that even spread and so on. That's me. And I also like the way that you can remove some of those guidelines for the grid, and you can remove them with an eraser and keep as many or as few as you like. I showed this yesterday with this one here where I realised I'd put that one in and I really shouldn't have. It's about thinking about how you would put blocks together to create an arch or whatever, and to have half of a pattern there would be a bit daft. It'd be really awkward to carve that circle, wouldn't it? So you put that in the middle. And this is how I carve, sculpt. This is how I tend to fathom things out, perhaps not in words, but in realisation. What I've done is I've spent some time this morning. I've got all of my templates I need to draw today done. I've met my goal. In fact, I've met one more than my goal. But I'm going to make that now my new goal. So I should get all the sketches done before Wednesday next week. But anyway, that's a different subject. And just within a fairly short space of time, using the same kind of grid, same kind of idea, I've come up with all of these variations. Some have got simple variations done within them, others are just a whole complete variation, but my mind is ticking over. So rather than me draw in my book, because I've got some paper so I can draw on a bit of a bigger scale for you, and perhaps I'm going to use one of these and work with just one. I'm not going to try and copy all of these out. No way. I'll try and get a decent photograph so it goes on my social media. But once you understand how one thing works, it's easy to, sort things out. That one, there's some that have got some subtleties. This is the only one that stands out as being a bit different, except in some ways it's not, because it's just half of the border. So I've got some paper here because I thought, let me just pop that where I can see it, just to remind myself of what I'm doing. Because I thought paper would be a better thing for me to work upon, for you to be able to see what's happening. And I can always fix these pieces of paper in my sketchbook with a bit of glue or washi tape, or, make a pocket at the back to pop them in, something like that. Okie dokes. I'm scurrying around here for my pencil. That's my 05 pen. So the first thing I do is to create, let me do this as if I was going to draw either a page or a drawing, except if I'm doing a drawing, I'd usually use a ruler and a pencil to sort of give me that border within which I want to work. It's easier then to work outside of the space, or to get rid of the space and leave a jaggedy edge. I think when it's done in pen, I feel I have to fill everything up to that point. I don't, but I feel like I do. So what I'm going to do, yeah, you're going, Angela, you're drawing curves. Well, yeah, because borders work as curves. And yet there's a little one there. And I'm going to put a little one above this. Yeah, parts of Romanesque arches. I mean, what can I say? The method is the same whether you do things straight, whether you go around a corner. Corners can be awkward because you've got to work out what goes in the corner, or curves, or even wavy lines, I suppose, zigzags if you want to work with curves. But I'm going to approach this exactly the same as I have there. I'm going to put some pencil construction lines in. So I'm going to split this band here in half approximately. These are hand drawn, so I'm not going to be using rulers and things to measure them. Sort of like a good estimate will work fine. And then I am going to separate these into smaller sections, which are going to be where each one is one side of that V shape, so down, up, and so on. Down, up, down, up. And I am changing the angle of those lines as if they're pointing towards the centre of a circle. It's not going to be an exact science in this. Close enough will do. And in fact, playing with the distance between these, alternating small, wide, small, narrow, wide, would be another way of varying the pattern. But not today. I'm trying to get them equally sized. So in this outermost band of pencil, she says, just missing that one. It's probably using too thick a pen here, but I want to make sure you can see. I am drawing. Let me have a look if I can just zoom in. There we go, that's a bit better, isn't it? So all I'm doing is just drawing in a zigzag V shape. There we go. Then I've got a choice. I can either go from here to there, so from the middle one to the next one out, so this line would be roughly parallel this, or what I can do, which makes an interesting pattern, is to go from that centre line all the way up to that point. And I'm getting these sort of, I don't know, Star Trek communicator badge shapes. Yeah, see the weird V's there. Always remind me of Star Trek communicator badges from the original, These ones are upside down for Star Trek, really, but you get the point. Quite literally the point here as well. How am I doing this? Oh, can you see what I've done? I've not had the points pointing towards each other, so I've got a bit of an issue here already, haven't I? Oh gosh, how can I get around this? I've done that. Did you spot what I did? Because I didn't. That's what you get for talking and not concentrating on what you're doing. There we are. So that's not exactly what I wanted, but it's what it's ended up to be. And in its own, I guess it's a nice enough tangle. And I could have taken, no, that would have been too much of a much. But I've got these sort of alternating instead of being opposite one another. Okay, that will work, I think. What I am going to do is just pop a darker triangle there. And what should have happened is I should have had another one of these little darker triangles pointing in the opposite direction down here, but I haven't. It's alternating along. Oh, well, there we are. Wasn't what I intended. So in that sense, it's a mistake, except that I've now turned it into a different pattern. So guess what? The next page in my pattern book is going to be filled with this kind of thing. And I've got this definite kind of zigzag in the middle, haven't I? I'll tell you what I might do though. I'm going to use a brown just to split that zigzag up in an interesting manner. Does that add anything to it? I think it does. And then these shapes, I could colour them in, but I think watching me colour all of these in would be like watching paint dry. Yes, I know I could edit the video, but I've said my editing skills, although I know how to do it, it's quite easy to do. It's me having the patience to watch my own video, which I tend not to do, and then working out exactly the right spot to cut and edit, and I'm not very good at doing that. I could just stop the video and have a series of sections of video recorded, but then that relies on me remembering to press record again. And all of it takes me away from, all of those thinkings would take me away from thinkings. Thoughts, Angela, use your words properly. Thinkings is quite a nice way of saying it. Thinkings, thinking while I'm inking, thinking. Yeah, thinking. Do. So that wouldn't be a very good idea. That possibly helps to bring something different to that. Okay, big one here. So I am going to start by separating this into two. Then, let me have a look. I'm going to again add 2 lines there, but I'm also going to put 2 in very close to that central line. Now again, I guess if you wanted to do this without pencil lines, you could just draw these in ink or put dots and stuff in. I'm not one for dotting. I'm one for dotting when it comes for highlighting or if there's a pattern that relies on it. So I'm quite happy to do dotty grids, but it's far easier to draw pencil lines. This would be more of the way that the sculptors would have done it. They'd have drawn shape out on the block of stone in pencil or chalk or some such, and then would have used their mallet and chisels to take away the stone to leave the sculpted pattern in there. Okay, just trying to remember which one I'm doing. I know. This time we are going to pay attention. So if I get the first zigzag in, and I'm doing this at the top, as I've been drawing these, a lot of them have reminded me of churches I have visited. I have to say that. Okay, so this point here is what at the top there, so we can draw that one, and then this line should point towards the outside edge of this border, and we've got the zigzag set up correctly. Once it's set up in the right place, it's easy enough to complete. Okie doke, so that's the first part. Now then, the next part, I am going to go from not the central line, the next line up, and I am going to pop a zigzag line going from one to another. Like so. And then I'm going to do the same, but mirror reflected on the bottom. So I was saying, drawing all of these just reminds me so much of all the lovely hours I've spent in various churches, abbeys, cathedrals, granges, and goodness knows what else, drawing the architecture there. Not on its whole completely, because I tend to be transfixed by one little bit, and so I make a record of that. And you know my art. Let me show you yesterday's, because I have finished yesterday's. It's all done. Finished it off. Even put a little dangle design in. I've got to decide if I'm going to do any more grey shading like I've done here, which means you can't see anything because I was zoomed in. There we go. But then once I've decided that, I'm going to clean this up, get rid of pencil lines, scan it, and then decide whether I add colour with traditional media or whether I'm going to spend time with digital media. But anyway, so my way of approaching if I visit somewhere and I'm going to spend lots of time drawing things, there's so much of interest, say in a church or an abbey or cathedral, then I would actually just take a page in my sketchbook and I would just draw these bits and pieces that interested me and put them together a bit like a weird jigsaw puzzle, and perhaps put shapes or patterns or lines between them to connect them in an interesting way if they don't fit together. So I end up with kind of a collage of what I've seen, what's interested me, what's caught my attention. And I've been known to work with that. I haven't done this for a long time. And to be honest with you, I can't wait for COVID really to go away, or for us to find an effective way that I feel safe to be out and about and around people. Like, mind you, partly that's got a lot to do with my own issues when it comes to mental well-being, I think, emotional well-being, because I do experience an awful lot of social anxiety, and it's really difficult for me to be around people at the moment. For that reason, I'm not used to it. It's funny how you can become desensitized to your emotional ill health, or emotional ill health, when you live at that level every day and that's all you've ever known. And I think I've said this before, but during the pandemic, the pressure of having to go out and be with people has been removed from me, which means I've had a pretty extended period of time where I've not felt that kind of anxiety, except for odd, moments of having to go to pharmacies and occasionally into shops or medical appointments and so on. And it's only then that I've really messed up the dimensions over here. But as this is a demonstration or examples, then it's fine. So I'm using a finer pen here just to go around that shape at the top, and I'm going to do the same inside, but I can't see how these are going to join up in the middle, will they? Yeah, they will. Maybe not everywhere, but they will. I will make them. Oops, that's a bendy one to make it. That's the trick. You start from the middle bit and work your way down. Far easier. So I am hyper aware. This is my problem. I haven't got these matching up. That's why it's weird at the end. No problem. Not a problem though. So yeah, so when I am out and about, I'm hyper aware of how anxious I am and how stressed I am, or at least I am when I return home. Because if I know I'm going out, then I wake up in the morning already highly stressed. And it's a really strange thing because I realise how my eyesight and my focus is affected so much. And I don't do well. For the rest of the day at least, it depends what I've been out for. That's why I choose to go to walk around cemeteries, because there are very few living people here, and the dead have never scared me whatsoever. They can't hurt you. So this is very, sort of it reminds me very much of a pattern I've seen somewhere. What I haven't got is I seem to have an unevenness in distance here and here. And I'm trying to work out what I could do about that, because I'm not, it's an inspiration, and I just think I'm going to put some circles here. I'm going to try and keep them roughly the same size, but if they vary a little bit, that's no big thing. So that would look quite nice. And then what do I do with these here? I have choices. I can leave them as they are or put another line in. Or what I can do is I will put another box in. Hopefully more square and more central than that one was. Ho hum. Like this, and then I am going to split them in half. And then what I'm going to do, I think, is I'll do the same, but I'll leave one border without that split and then do the next one out. So this does take some concentration, but again, if I make a mistake, I will work with it, because it happens. These things do happen, and there's not a lot I can do about it. So that'll work nicely, and I almost want to put a couple of smaller circles in here so they nestle into that point. And to do that, it's best to put the smallest circle at the bottom and then fill the gap in with the next one. In sculptural terms, I think these are called beads. I quite like that. If I think about beads I have used in the past when I've dabbled in jewellery making and embroidery and so on, a lot of them are very perfectly formed, but a lot of them aren't. But when they're all put together, you don't really notice that variation, that slight variation in size. You just get the sense of the overall pattern. So there we are, there's that one. And I think you can see the difference between here, where I've got these triangles, the point of this, you know, they're pointing in the same, you know, the lines pointing upwards in the same direction, whereas here they're facing each other. So this one's pointing up here, and this, and at the top this one's pointing down on that line. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's, again, it's hard to explain in words, but it's easier to show. It's funny, isn't it, like that? Look, oh, half an hour gone nearly. I'm checking on time because I know I can get very verbose. Okay, next one. I'll do just one more today, and I'll keep this then because I've got a feeling, I say I've got a feeling, I think I'm going to be stuck on borders for a while, you know. And what I can do as well, and I could have done this while I was drawing these, is I can just imagine or follow them and extend them into this particular arch so that I've got a continuity or continuation of where the repeating blocks are. And that's where I made the mistake there. See, I didn't go down to the bottom, but that's okay. I can live with that. Okie dokes, let me have a look. Oh, wrong pen. That's a brown one, that's why. What was another one I wanted to show? Again, it's all these same kind of things. I'm having a look and seeing. Okay. Yeah, so I just want to split these two into half again. Well, this isn't very central, but it won't matter too much because it will help to give a sense of perspective, I suppose. I think perspective is the word I am groping around for. Now I've got choices here. I could either make these go the same way as this one, but I'm not. I'm going to have the points almost meeting here. I say almost because I'm going to have trouble getting these to match up exactly. But I think I'll manage it. Now this is about half the size of one of these, so I'm just going to take that halfway up. And that's fine. There we go, and I'm just checking I've got the point there, this line touching the outside edge of the arch here, and this one is touching the outside edge of the arch here, because I do want these mirrored. There's so much that can be done with this. Far more than you could with, I guess, botanicals, because once you start varying a botanical, you start creating something entirely different in some ways. Whereas with this, it's the same kind of structure, but there's so much more you can do. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this one is I really am going to use this kind of shape again, where I'm going from the top point, but the line I'm drawing is to the middle pencil line underneath here. So I'm going to get these arrowhead shapes. They're almost arrowheads. These are so much fun to add colour or cross-hatching shading to. Okay, so this is going to go halfway down to there. It's not going to meet exactly, neither is this one going to meet that. It's going to be about halfway. Whereas here there will be definitely some meeting of points. And this is where if there's a little gap between. Oh, what's done wrong here? Oh, that one I've done wrong. I went down to this one. It's okay. Yeah, that one's a bit wonky in the middle. but it's okay. It's sort of like, yeah, I was bound to make another mistake when I see what I did. These lines I joined them up there, but it's okay. I've got that. That would lead to another interesting pattern, I think, possibly. Yeah, because I have to now do that one there. You end up with that kind of shape. That's okay, it's in the middle, it's just about in the middle of the arch, it can remain there. Okie dokes. So I have these, and I think what I want to do now, so I've got a square shape in here, so I could just draw a smaller square inside, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to create a lozenge shape here. I'm going from where these arrowheads meet up to that pencil line I haven't used. So I'm getting this diamond or lozenge shape here. And what's nice is, even though I've mucked up with that one, I've still got space to put a lopsided lozenge in, but I've still got one in there. Okay, let's have a look. Again, I just need to be careful on the edge. So this lozenge shape is perfect for other things. I could put an orb or a bead or a circle in there. I could just split it in half or in quarters. I could put a circle in the middle and have like petals coming off. Oh, what do I fancy doing here? I'm going to put a smaller version of that lozenge in. And this is where these lines really help. Pencil lines, because it's so easy to centralize this inside of that lozenge, because these pencil guides are a real help for that. There we go. Apart from that middle one, it's okay. I suppose I could do it, you know, every other one or pattern it through, but I'm not going to. Now this is as much of the drawing as I want to do. So what I'm going to do, if I just zoom out a mo, is you can get to see me do the wonderful task of erasing. Now, I absolutely hate eraser dust everywhere. These are really good. They're so hard to get hold of now. They're Pentel High Polymer Soft, because the bits that come off are. But what I'm using is I'm using a piece of kneadable eraser as a kind of spongy pick it up. So it'll pick up any pencil that may be left, but it will also pick up these bits. And if when it finally picks them up no more, it can be disposed of. So I've got all of these here. What I think I want to do though, before I do anything else, is I am going to put some thinner lines in as kind of almost like edges or borders between areas. This is very much a sculptural kind of thing that I'm familiar with in Romanesque sculpture and arches and so on. It just helps to, I don't know, it just helps to define the particular pattern or the shapes in some way. And I am going to split these. So the inner lozenge, miss that border around it, and then you know, the outside one. So it's almost like line, no line, 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 no line, line, no line, line in the different sections. So you're skipping between them. There is a reason I'm doing this, she says. Nearly messing that one up. simply because I turned this round. I got myself confused. That's the problem with turning paper round. I get so confused so easily. Okie doke, so I've got that one done. I'm also going to do the same kind of idea on these, where I'm going to split where these central lines are to connect the motif from top to bottom. And that essentially is what would be called in Zentangle terms a fragment. Between the lines is a fragment. I could have put it where those circles are, but said if you're going to be sculpting stuff, you don't want to have part orbs to deal with. Now I could thicken some lines here to give a sense of shadow and highlight, but today I'm not going to, because I'm going to use colour for that, I think. And yeah, I've got my fine Micron 01, and anybody who knows me knows just how much I really love colouring with that. I don't, but I've got these zig writers instead. So let me have a look, because what I want to do is I want to do it on this one. It's interesting because this is from a brand of sketchbook that's new to me, and the paper is very white and it's very smooth, and that means that it doesn't like anything being blended on it. Even, you know, water soluble media it doesn't like very much either. So I've got those done. Okay, so the next one out I'm going to miss, but I'm going to do this side and this side. And again over here. I'll just do that one here because, as I've said, this is just me really playing around with things. So what I'm going to do with these ones is I am going to join these all the way through, even that one with a wobbly line. I did those all the way out to that one. I don't want to do that one. It'll work. So what I'm going to do with these ones is do the same. I'm going to colour this one. So I'll carry on doing that. So this one, do the next line out. This does take quite a bit of focus and concentration. And for me, because it's new to me, even though it's not new, if that makes sense. It's a familiar kind of pattern to me, but I am doing things perhaps here that, okay. So I am going to add colour to the other side of this part. Here too, yeah, there too. So I'm getting this weird kind of zigzaggy pattern going on here. I do need that 02 because that's okay. That one needs it there, which is why I couldn't work that one out. That one's okay, that one's okay, okay. And I'm going to do that. Oh, come on, Angela. Think, girl, you also need to put some lines here for this one. So I've joined the area between these little, you know, the band of circles up, and I've joined from the point here to the point there. And I've done the same, the point there to point there. I will join those circles just to make this section at the end here the same. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do this outside bit which is here as well. Now I could have filled these in with patterns, textural patterns, lines, you know, something like Shattuck or something similar. But I'm just using colour here. And I think you can see that the difference the colour makes almost instantly. This one gives it a feeling of shadow and highlight, sort of. This one even more so. I think this one is what I'd want to do all the way along, perhaps. No, I could shadow these in. Let me have a look. Where's my line? This one. But we'll try it on the last one. So I've got shadow. If I'm going to be consistent, I'm only going to add some shadow to one side. And for this, I'm not colouring it in. So let me have a look and see how this looks once I've done it. How's that going? Not sure whether I like that or not. I think it may need to be just coloured in to really bring it to the forefront. I think for consistency, perhaps I should have used the same brown. Get a thicker pen here. And it may be that I do, you know, if I'm going to do black here, I'm doing better off doing all of these sections black rather than brown. I'm almost tempted to do, yeah, let's have a look. Part of me's going, yeah, that might look better if you did all of that outside bit there in black. Have that really big contrast. Let's have a look on this side. How's that looking? I don't know. You'll have to let me know. Because I do things and sometimes I think I really can't see the wood for the trees with it. As in, I really don't know because I'm working so close to this in terms of just paying attention to it. That I don't see always what other people see in things. We've talked about this before, me and the optical illusions I create, or the illusion of volume, is that it's not until somebody points it out to me I actually see it. Looking at the screen helps, sort of. Do my eyes in. So, zoom in and see if that helps. I've lost some of the little circles there, but that's the magic of a white gel pen, isn't it? So we have this here. Oh, how else could I add shading to this? Well, I have here some chalk pastel pencils, and what I'm going to do is not all the way along, but in these little sections, perhaps add some. This is black, and anybody who knows me will know I'm not always a fan of these things, but I've discovered through trying this out with this paper that the chalk tends to get embedded in really quickly and doesn't want to fan out too far, to be honest, which is an absolute blessing in disguise. For me anyway, because it means that it's far easier to get it embedded in the paper and to leave an area of white there or lighter. So let me just go along there. Now then, I hate little bits of chalk. Oh, see? Pain in the backside. Smudges everywhere. It's okay. Right then. So does that help at all Most probably it does a little bit, so I'm going to add a little bit down here. And I do mean just a little bit. And I'm using chalk pastels rather than the Pitt Artist pencils, the matte pencils, the matte graphite mattes, because they don't spread very well on this paper at all. This does a bit better, but still spread too much for me. It's okay, because that is what, just pick up. This is a bit of a tacky cloth because I get frustrated with things like chalk pastels and other things, leaving bits of stuff everywhere, and you can blow it off and it goes everywhere, or you can brush it off and it smears and smudges. And if I use a eraser like this, then the bits get picked up in the eraser, but they smudge because they get embedded in the top of it. So I thought I'd try these tacky cloths, and so far they're okay, though they can smudge. So it has to be used with caution, I think. Okay, so that is a very dark black. So let's have a look. Let me see what I can do here. I am going to run this down the centre, just a very fine line of it. I'm not going to do it all. I'm going to leave some without any of this on. And use a tortillon just to smudge it out. Work it into the paper, but also just gently smudge it out that little bit, just to give that. Keep the shadow as dark as I can, right down in that crease, which is what I will want it to look like, I think. Just very lightly move it out towards the centre. Something that I wasn't happy with, that I felt was looking just too flat and dull and boring, suddenly comes to that little bit of life, doesn't it? A little bit of shape, a little bit of volume, just by something that simple. There's me just blowing those tiny bits off. Oh gosh, what a difference that makes, doesn't it? Oh my. Oh, I'm so happy. Do you know what? I'm so happy. I'm even going to do it here. I'm even going to do a bit there. No point me doing up. Actually, I could do a little bit here and a little bit there. Just bear with me while I do this. Keeping it the darkest there and just the barest amount spread towards the centre. Just that little bit. Do the same here. Keeping it. But the nice thing about using chalk pastels is that I won't get that shininess with graphite. Even with the Pitt matte graphite, there's still a bit of shininess there. And because I'm going to be going over this with where the black pen is, I don't want this to show up on the black pen, because I am going to run into it, because it's the only way I can spread this black out, really, this black pastel out, is to make sure it gets those white bits right at the edge, is to go into that black there. But even on that, it's added that feeling of something rolling over, doesn't it? I'd much prefer these ones, I think. And I think I'd actually put the brown on the other side as well, possibly to carry the pattern over. So let's have a look doing that. Because I've got the pastel on the other side, this looks like a different colour on this side. So I've got that highlight and shadow that perhaps I was looking for. Oh heck. Oh, that's a missed one. It's okay. It is what it is for now. Let me see what I've done. Yeah. Wasn't following. It's because I'm thinking and talking. It's my excuse. I'm not used to thinking and talking about what I'm doing. Out loud in words. As I said. Now that does look a lot better, doesn't it? I think so. The black adds something to it. It adds a lot of graphic and drama to it. But I quite like the browns here, where you've got that repetition. Here I've completely mucked up, haven't I? And I think that's probably the only thing I can do here. It's just, let's fill all of that section in. And I'll do the same on this one. There, just to see. And then I've got that for comparison to see how it works, and you know, just to make things even more for comparison, I make the middle of this black and the outside of it black perhaps. And see how that looks. It's just having, I've made mistakes, as in I haven't kept the pattern consistently going. But as this is an exploration, I'm not too bothered, because I wouldn't ordinarily work on, like, I have been known to work on my big personal kind of art projects, like the one I've shown you, on video, but I tend to film it and then just, oh, that gives it a completely different kind of feel, doesn't it? Just something simple like that. And then I speed it up and put music with it, and I don't really talk over it, just so you can just watch me drawing. But for this one, it's more of an explanation and helping you perhaps to see and to understand things, or to give you the confidence to try things out. And this is a good example. This video is turning out in a good example of don't be scared of trying something and trying and working with something until you use it in, if you're a Zentangler, in a Zentangle pattern, or in a drawing or some other thing that you're doing. Because even if you make a mistake, you learn something from it, and sometimes those mistakes can be quite serendipitous. They can be happy accidents, where you learn something and you gain something from, and you work with it. You don't give up on it. You know, I could have given up so easily on this one where I've gone completely wrong in places, but I haven't. I've gone back and worked with it, and I've got variations there that I didn't expect. In fact, I didn't quite know what I was going to do with colour, but I really like I have to say, where the shadow is and getting these curving over really is very architectural, and it just reminds me of some sculpture where it wouldn't more often, it would be triangular at the top, not so much at the bottom, because it would dip down to the bottom of the arch, but sometimes you get circles here and they look like rolled logs, or you know, cylinders around, and you get those shadows in those bits. So this looks like these have been curved as well. So you can't see me, but I am absolutely smiling here. These make me very happy. This is a bit dark, but I haven't done anything with the outside or the inner one in terms of shading, have I yet? Oh no. Okay, jelly roll time. Get the jelly roll working. And just doing it on the corner of this piece of paper because it really isn't important. So which part do I want to lighten up? The black or the brown? I think the brown might need some. So if I put just a couple of definite sized, bigger sized circles at the points, and then just dot small ones in between. however many I can fit in. It's not important. So that lightens that up, doesn't it? And I can put one in the middle. I lost my little circles here, so I should just pop those back in and there with the jelly roll. I'm not going to add any to that one. So this one becomes part of the pattern, but it's over the shadow now, so it doesn't look quite as impressive as it did. So I'm going to leave this here today for you. I'll just bring him back in my book. And I have created a new pattern down here. It's a new pattern, and I'm going to clip this down. Let me just get my pretty bulldog clip out. There we go. It's pink and shiny, metallic. So that was a, what do they call it? A mistangle, sort of like wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. So that was a happy accident that became a pattern in its own way. This really would benefit from shadow as well, shadow and highlights. This one has been more errors in terms of adding colour than anything else. This one, I had that one there, that reminds me of a Zentangle pattern or a Zentangle fragment. I can't remember what it is though. But the rest of it, I don't know whether it is a pattern or I don't know. But from the book, the one I based all of these on was probably the closest would be this one or this one. Is there one here that is like these? Not really, but it is that basic. It's this basic one of the zigzags, the ups and downs, and getting things in, yeah. It's those opposing zigzags and what you do within them. You leave space between them so you can add a pattern, or you add to the pattern in between. So I've got more that weren't here over here. That's mad, isn't it? Because I was going to replicate, I think it was this one I was looking at. I was going to replicate that and it went completely different. So this one, I'll carry on. So I'm wittering on. This has been, would you believe, an hour? I've been talking here and drawing for an hour. So I'm just about to give or take a couple of minutes. So I'm going to say thank you very much if you've stuck with me all the way through this. I hope it's given you some inspiration. I hope you could see my hand drawing clearly or be able to see how I construct these. Pencil vanishes at the ends, but you can put other lines in where you need them. Don't need to keep the pencil there to do that, because they're geometric. Once the points and everything are set up, you just decide where you put those extra lines in, how you want to split those shapes up, and repeat it throughout. And then it's adding colour and shadow and just seeing what happens. I'll tell you what I will do very quickly. That'll have to do because I can't see another one. Okay, come on, Angela. You have got to have in here somewhere. I have got to have in here somewhere. There's one that is white. Was that the one I was looking for? No. I am looking for a... That'll do. Glasses again. Because I've taken my glasses off. Because they're great if I'm about a foot away or half a foot away from here. This one's in shadow, so this one really needs... Try adding just a bit of a highlight. I'm using the white chalk. Gently push it out. The highlight would be perhaps closer to the middle. Gently just blend it in. Not so sure, but I'm just going to pick any loose stuff up with that bit of tacky cloth. I'm not at all sure about that. I'm not sure whether that adds anything or takes away from it. It's not easy to see. I don't know if you saw me add it. That one shows up more than this one. I think it's because I put more on there. This is just a white chalk pastel. That does add a bit of a highlight. It's much more noticeable on the screen, but I'm suspecting that if I take an eraser, look at that, and go back to how it was, more or less. So I prefer it as it was. I know. I don't know what it is about chalk pastels and me. We're not the best of pals, I guess. But so yeah, so I really am smiling at part of this. It's made me very happy. It doesn't take much, art always does. And I've got into the swing of the adorable dog, so that is making me happy now as well. I'm feeling happier about what I'm drawing, which means I'm likely to go back and look at some of the early templates and think, I'm going to redo that one. But I can redo it when I ink it in, so that's not a problem. So anyway, it's over an hour. I hope that it gives you some ideas of what to do and how to approach this, whether it's following on how I drew these today, the ones I did yesterday, or even looking at these and seeing how I deconstructed them. I'll try to take a good photograph. I'm not going to guarantee I will. I can't really scan this in because scanners and sketchbooks that won't. My mistake, I should have bought ones that were spiral bound. Don't ask is best. So my moments. So I'm going to say thank you for watching me. Thank you to all the people who've subscribed recently and my old subscribers, to those who return to watch, those who leave such lovely comments and they find this all useful, to those who've left thumbs up, those who've shared and notifications. I appreciate you all, and I will see you again tomorrow, where no doubt I'm going to be continuing, that's not a word, continuing with borders. After all, I've got this page to fill really with some more examples, haven't I? And welcome to my world where I love Romanesque architecture. Yeah, it doesn't take much. So until tomorrow, take care, look after yourselves and find time to be creative. Bye bye for now.